So quickly, I wanted to say thank you all for coming and joining me in this workshop. I'm very excited to go over all of the materials that we have prepared for you today. Quick overview, we will be doing our PowerPoint presentation. There is a youth panel that has been pre-recorded, which has been embedded into our presentation. And then, like I said, we will do a wrap up, try to keep about half an hour for us to share some of our successes and challenges and for any question and answer. If you have a question during the presentation, feel free to type it into the chat box. There are a team of people that are managing all the techie things, the techie end of this presentation. So we will make sure those questions get to me or the relevant person that can answer them for us. So quickly, I want to do a land acknowledgement. I understand that it is maybe a little bit strange to do one on a virtual conference, but I do want to underline the importance of them. I'd also encourage all of you in the audience to, if you don't already, and if you haven't already, do some research to learn about the history of the land in which you live and the indigenous people that inhabit it. So here's our land acknowledgement. Ask Family Services collectively recognizes its office is sited on land historically occupied by the Ojibwa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi nations. We acknowledge and honor the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary land of the Council of the Three Fires, their indigenous peoples, and their continued sovereignty. Our office at 445 West Michigan Avenue in Kalamazoo, Michigan, occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe. More specifically, it sits on the traditional land of Mashibi-Nashiwish and their people. By offering this land acknowledgement, we wish to affirm Indigenous sovereignty and declare that we will work to hold all those employed by and involved with the organization accountable to the needs and wishes of Indigenous people. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout generations. This calls us to commit to continuing to learn how to be better stewards of the stolen land we inhabit. So we will move to do a quick check-in. For this, I have a little grounding practice meditation I'd like to lead us through. If you're comfortable, please feel free to participate. If you would rather not, take the next few moments to do something that will center you in this space. Let's begin by feeling how your body makes contact with the surface you're against. Feel your feet, if they're on the ground, how they connect you to the earth. If you're on any piece of furniture, feel the connection points of your body. If as we move through this exercise, you feel as though you are in need of receiving energy, place your hands on your knees with your palms facing upwards. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose and we'll hold it for a moment. And then we can exhale through our mouths. Feel our collective energy moving through your body with your breath. Let's take another deep breath in through our nose. Exhale through your mouth. And we'll take one more deep breath through our nose. Keep that pause. And exhale through your mouth. We are now connected and grounded by the first and last thing we have, which is our breath. Even across the internet, we can connect with one another. So I'm going to dive in. Again, I'm really happy that all of you are here to participate with us. The first part will be pretty information heavy, but then we will be having a nice time to discuss towards the end of our presentation here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If my PowerPoint wants to work. There we go. All right, so we today are going to talk about the importance of youth voice and youth choice and implementing programming and how we have done that at ASK since the beginning and through the COVID-19 pandemic. So when you have a program with youth involved, what's the point of having youth voice and youth choice in that programming? Well, one of the main reasons is that when youth feel as though they are making actual contributions to their programming, they will feel that they have a sense of ownership over them, over the program, and that will naturally lead into more buy-in from the youth. This supports learning and self-direction when we as supportive adults give youth the opportunity to explore their interests and then also like move into a leadership role in their programming. They will naturally build strong decision-making and communication skills. We also support youth voice and choice because it improves programs and communities as a whole. When we see youth in leadership positions and doing all of the amazing work that they are capable of doing, then adults begin to look at them more as partners in a community and less as children. And as we are able to use and support youth voice and choice in our programming and creating programs for our youth, that will lead to youth feeling more connected to the program and for the program to be more connected to the youth. This is the ladder of youth voice and youth choice. You can see at the bottom there, that's no voice. So if youth don't have a voice in their program, then they're being used and tokenized to support a cause that the adults that are in the program or that are coordinating the program or running the program are able to pretend that the youth have inspired these waiting room. They are able to pretend as though the youth were the cause of this inspiration. Next up on the ladder is input. So youth are able to provide structured and informal input to the adults who are running the program. So this comes in form of feedback. It can be something like at the end of a meeting where we check in to ask them how they thought the meeting went. It's input, youth input is important, but we strive to go above and beyond that to choice, giving youth choice in the development of their programming. That means like they have real and relevant choices about how they spend their time in the program. They build and shape the program with the program coordinators or with the individuals who are running the program. So youth choice is the next rung up on the ladder, and at the top of the ladder is shared leadership. Youth are given opportunities to take an active role in managing their time and learning. So youth are going to really have a lot of say in what the program looks like. They will design the program. They will tell the coordinators and the leaders, adult leaders in the program, how they want their program to look. And this begs of adults to actually take that into consideration and listen to them. Next slide, we will have different opportunities for youth voice. So again, kind of like the rungs on the ladder. So input means that youth have the opportunity to shape the activities that the program has. So that could look like, as the program coordinator, I say, would you rather do a workshop about safe relationships, or would you rather do a workshop on building empathy? And then they choose. That would be input, an example. Asking for youth input helps them feel as though their concerns matter and that their voice is being heard. We ask, and I will talk more about Calling All Youth, the program that I coordinate, in just a few moments. But we strive to make exactly zero decisions without the youth in our programming having some sort of input into it. Next up the ladder is going to be choice. So youth choice can involve, again, offering options or being open-ended for what is available. So youth can choose what they want to learn, how they want that to look like. Choice exists within a structure of support where adults are able to guide and support youth in their choice making. And then again, with the shared leadership, this can be a large or small scale, but it must exist for all youth in the program. Youth will participate as leaders as you give them opportunities to do so. For example, I work specifically with high school youth. So some of them begin in their freshman year and they stay all 4 years of high school. So during that time, we really want to spend some extra time individually, one-on-one with our youth to sort of grow their opportunities for leadership as they grow as individuals. So supporting youth voice, that is a huge thing. Like, how do we support youth voice? And so the imagery that I am using is providing scaffolding. So even though, we want to give youth the freedom and autonomy to be able to use their voice in shaping their programming, we absolutely need to be there to provide support along the way. It can be overwhelming to be a youth in a program and just say, okay, yeah, go do whatever you want, no worries. They need some direction. Become actively engaged with your youth that you're working with. Get to know them on a one-on-one basis. Get to know them personally. Get to know their interests and their strengths. We are able to better understand our group, working with a group as a whole, once we understand the individuals and each of their strengths and how they can work together to better accomplish the goals we have at hand. As adults, we don't want to take over. which can be hard sometimes. I think that when we are in a group of teenagers and it doesn't seem like the conversation's productive, or maybe it's all over the place, like it doesn't mean the youth aren't getting anything out of that. So kind of harkening back to being a supportive figure and providing the scaffolding without taking over. Youth will ask for help, and when they do ask for help, it's important that we help them. I think it's also, and we'll talk a little bit more about the difference between helping and empowering in a little bit, but I think it's also important to, like, if you see a youth struggling with something or like being challenged with something and they're not asking you for your help, maybe step back. Don't say like, "Hey, can I help you with that?" Let them figure it out their own, or let them work on their self-advocacy skills and let them come to you if they do need that help. Working with the youth, we want to always have a rotating set of meaningful roles for all of the members in the group. So this not only provides opportunities for youth to try out different types of leadership, see what they're most comfortable with, whether it's like behind the scenes, like presenting at a conference, getting all the tech ready, or like out there on stage doing slam poetry, like giving them the opportunity to try on all these different hats of leadership will naturally give them a sense of direction, what type of leader they are and what they feel comfortable with. It's also very important, and I stress this a lot in our program, to offer one-on-one structured support. Um, we develop goals together one-on-one. We work through issues together one-on-one. We, just have that opportunity to really get to know the youth that you're working with and open yourself up to them, be vulnerable with them, and they will model that, which will always end in a more authentic connection. Okay, so we have the difference between helping and empowering here. So in Youth Voice and Youth Choice, we want to really like hone in on what it means to empower youth instead of simply helping them. So when you're helping your youth, you're doing things for them instead of guiding them into being in the position of being able to do it for themselves. Helping someone by doing something for them does not aid in developing skills or confidence that will lead to them being able to do things on their own, or for them to be able to become leaders and experts in their lived experiences. Helping hinders overall growth, because if they see you willing to just do everything for them, then that's going to be what they default to. On the other hand, empowering, which is what we are striving for, means to provide support and guidance in order to help youth believe in themselves, have that confidence in themselves, that they can and are able to accomplish their tasks and their goals on their own. Empowering promotes learning, skill, and confidence building. It also aids in developing an understanding of support systems. So when you, as a supportive adult, are able to empower the youth, that again will lead to a more trusting relationship, a more authentic relationship, and they will be more willing to come to you as a supportive adult in their lives when they need, like, when they need something from you that's not you accomplishing a task for them. And empowering puts the power into the hands of the youth. Something that is really it's fresh on my mind. It's something I've been thinking about a lot, is the redistribution of the power dynamics in from a youth development professional to the youth that are being involved in the program. What is a way to make our relationship based less on hierarchy and more on horizontal organization? And I believe that being a supportive adult who has the ability to empower the youth that they work with is one of the main things, avenues that we can take to get to restructuring the power dynamic. Here's a quote I like and a sweet picture of some of our youth in the Look Beyond swag. Positive development is not something that adults do to young people, but rather something that young people do for themselves with a lot of help. They are the agents of their own development. I love that autonomy that this gives the youth. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Calling All Youth, which I love. It's such an awesome program, and I'm very, very lucky and grateful to have the job of being the program coordinator. So Calling All Youth is a youth leadership and advocacy group. They are all in high school. They're not all enrolled in like traditional public school. They can be in a GED program or in an alternative learning program. But they do go to school in the county that we live in, which is Kalamazoo County. They also self-identify as having a mental health, emotional, or behavioral challenges. They can also be a sibling of someone who has mental health, emotional, or behavioral challenges. The caveat being that they must have some sort of experience with the mental health system of care. Calling All Youth members use their voices to change the mental health, juvenile justice, child welfare, and education systems locally. They are the Youth Advisory Board for the Kalamazoo County Mental Health System of Care. So every once in a while, we will like have someone who's designing a new program come and talk to us and get the voices of the youth to report back to the other people who are planning the programming or writing the grants. So their voices do end up being something that makes real and lasting change. Calling All Youth is a local chapter of Youth Move, which is motivating others through voices of experience. I do think there's another Youth Move presentation today. I'm kind of bummed I can't be there because it's at the same time as this one. But yeah, Youth Move is a national advocacy group with chapters all over the country. So this year marks Calling All Youth 15. They are 15 years old. So I will dive into this in a little bit here, but it was started by Youth for Youth. So the goals of Calling All Youth include empowering youth to use their voice. We include youth in decision-making that affects their lives and the lives of their peers. We decrease the stigma surrounding mental health challenges and mental health help seeking. We raise awareness about the prolific nature of mental health in our community. We assist youth one-on-one in developing and accomplishing personal goals. That's that one-on-one support I was talking about earlier when we were discussing providing scaffolding. We work on developing leadership, social, emotional, and community skills. Especially this past year, past 6 months, the focus has moved swiftly, modeling the rest of the country towards social justice. our youth are very impassioned by the current events going on around them. They have a lot of opinions about it, and they want to be involved in what they see as social justice movements. We also compensate youth for their efforts. So we pay them every time they come to a meeting. We pay them every time we have one-on-one. Well, they're only allowed to have one paid one-on-one each month. They try to trick me in more, and I'm happy to meet with them more than once a month, one-on-one. But they do only get paid for the one. And then anytime they join into a community event, or they do a presentation, or they are part of a panel discussion, anything like that, they get paid to do that too. So we want to show them that what they're working on it matters, and it's real work, and that they deserve to be compensated for that. Here's a list of some of the most recent advocacy and community participation efforts that we have done with Calling All Youth. I'm not going to read them all. I will point out a few of them which have specifically happened recently. I know that before I was the program coordinator for Calling All Youth, they led the plenary at the NFF conference couple years ago in Houston. I've heard lots of amazing stories about that experience that they had. Just this past summer, we ran our Racism's Rally, which was a week of online virtual advocacy. And we had all sorts of little awesome projects and programs going on. We highlighted our partners in the community as well. The Look Beyond campaign is giant. It's all over, it's plastered all over the city of Kalamazoo. It's on the sides of our buses, it's on billboards. So the Look Beyond campaign is the stigma reduction regarding mental health. And they have done so much work with the Look Beyond campaign. Just recently, there was a youth candidate forum in which the youth were able to come up with questions that they wanted to ask of our local and state representatives who were up for election just at last, oh man, it's been a long couple weeks, whenever that was, the beginning of November. They asked them some pretty poignant questions and received some answers, and they are very excited to hold them accountable, which I think is awesome. So as you can see, we are out and about in the community. Right now, looks a little bit different. We have been almost completely virtual since March. We did have about 3 weeks of a hybrid program, but we have stepped back from that as COVID numbers have been rising, specifically in Kalamazoo. But we look forward to getting back into the community, and until then, we will advocate on Zoom. I wanted to share a picture of our office. This is the youth area. It was designed by the youth. And as you can see, they love being able to have writing on the walls. So for every Calling All Youth meeting, we have the agenda written up there. There'll be a nice inspirational quote, any reminders, and it's just a fun way to get the youth involved. One of the roles that we have for shared leadership is that for every meeting we have a youth co-facilitator. So what they will do is they'll come in early and they'll write everything up on the wall from the agenda. They can put a new mural up if they want, if they have time, if they're artistic and want to do that. And it just really has made the space so comfortable and just a great place to hang out. Even when Calling All Youth isn't meeting, sometimes I just go and hang out in there because it's so nice. Next to the picture of our wall, you'll see a picture of our comfort contract. And to draw back a little bit to what Youth Choice and Youth Voice can do for a program, the comfort contract is something that the youth come up with themselves, which leads the sort of norms and rules of our group. And we make it fun and pretty and kid-friendly. So yeah, one diva, one mic. That means, one person's talking at one time. We have a stick. I would go and grab it right now. It's fun. It's like got ribbon and like glitter all over it. That's the diva stick. And when you're holding that talking piece, you have the floor. We don't. One of our sayings is nothing about us without us. So that applies to not only group members, like talking about group members that aren't there, but also that decisions are made as a whole team. We don't make decisions for the youth. We make decisions together as partners. Something that the youth worked on this summer, which is really amazing, is the Kalamazoo Youth Agenda for Change. This is just a really awesome document that Calling All Youth members worked on, as well as other youth-serving organizations. And the Kalamazoo Youth Development Network is sort of spearheading this youth leadership affinity group, of which Calling All Youth members are part of. So sort of the rundown of Kalamazoo Youth Development Network, lovingly known as KidNet, brings together youth-serving organizations to create a common language and measurement. It's really, really important. We connect with other youth development professionals. They offer training, and they offer opportunities for youth development professionals to do that training and to facilitate or co-facilitate the training. They gather and then analyze our data. They help us evaluate our programming, and then they also promote collaboration between youth-serving organizations. KidNet is awesome. I don't know if there are other communities that have something similar, but I can't say enough about how supportive and fantastic Kalamazoo Youth Development Network really has been in my role as program coordinator, but also in various other ways in the community. So shout out to KidNet. Now I will play the Calling All Youth proclamation, which was part of our Racism's Rally week of virtual advocacy. And this is gonna probably redirect me to a different web page, so please, and I'm going to need to do the sound thing. There we go.
The youth of Kalamazoo. We come from different neighborhoods, different schools, and different backgrounds. We have different thoughts, inspirations, ideals, and future plans. But we are here today to come together and ask the city of Kalamazoo to stand with us in solidarity. Along with everyone else, youth are facing an increasingly difficult and challenging future. It is a pinnacle time in world history, and we are coming of age right in the middle of it. To say that it isn't scary would be a lie. We are worried for our parents and grandparents. We are worried for our siblings. We are worried for our friends, neighbors, and community. We are worried for ourselves and each other. In these uncertain and anxiety-ridden times, We are here to demand that adults and people in charge take a close look at what is going on in the lives of youth and what resources are available to us. Listen to us when we say we need more support. Listen to us when we say we don't feel as though you take us seriously. Listen to us when we ask for space to learn and grow. Make room for us to be seen and for our voices to be heard. There is a mental health crisis in this country, and it is only going to get worse as we move through the collective trauma that we are facing right now. Youth are often the victims of lack of mental health help and support. We are put into juvenile justice programs and criminalized, given ineffective treatment, and launched into a cycle of probation violations that never seem to end. Our community is made safer by providing resources and services to youth, not criminalizing us. We want there to be a better understanding of how mental health impacts our behaviors. We want access to therapy where we will be advocated for therapists to work with us and listen to us. We want our feelings and experiences to be validated by the adults in our lives. Too often what we say is ignored because of our age. This is oppression. Just because we are young does not mean we don't understand ourselves and our lives. Sometimes we need help and support to express our thoughts and emotions, and we want adults in our lives that we can trust to help us express, interpret, and regulate these things. We are humans and we make mistakes. When we do make mistakes, instead of immediately putting us through the juvenile justice programs, we want a chance to do community service and to participate in youth programs focused on growth and healing. We want to feel invested in our community as members who matter and who can make change. When we see adults confirming that we matter, that our voices are heard, and that our ideas have potential to make real and lasting change, we will want to do good things for our community. But we stand here today, tired, scared, and weary, but we are strong, we are smart, we are resilient, and we matter. They say the youth of today will become the leaders of tomorrow, but we want a seat at the table now. Listen to us. We are sure you will learn a thing or two.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today.
Get a little bit of a soundbite from our guided meditation that came after on our SoundCloud account. If you are interested, I'll send the link. So that was our Calling All Youth proclamation. We have shared it with various other youth serving organizations in town. We went to our local, we went to Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, which is formerly known as the Community Mental Health. And we read it at their board meeting. So they are like pumped up about this. I know you could hear the passion in their voice there. So I just wanted to highlight a few things that are really important to the youth right now. So mental health and juvenile justice reform. They are huge advocates for getting youth out of the juvenile justice system and into a move to from the punitive model to a restorative and transformative model that would lead to growth and healing. They are asking adults in their lives to listen to them actively, and they want effective therapy. And I think that we'll touch on that a little bit too in this panel that we are about to watch. But I can't say enough how proud I am of them coming up with that proclamation. It wows me every time I hear it, and I usually cry. I kept it together today though, just for you all. So something that we want to talk about next is youth vulnerability and COVID-19. Youth in need of mental health services have been made particularly more vulnerable during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is for various reasons, obvious reasons, including poverty increase and family unemployment. We have watched the poverty numbers just accelerate over the past several months. And we have watched more and more of our community members lose housing. There's a lack of access to resources for a lot of the families with youth that have mental health challenges. For many, there's limited support at home because parents or the supportive adults in their lives are working as essential employees. We have education closures, which will, I don't know about towns across the country, but I do know here in Kalamazoo that I can pull up to a fast food restaurant and see youth sitting on the curb getting the Wi-Fi so that they can go to school. That is incredibly disturbing. There's been closures and restrictions in court, child welfare, and juvenile justice programs. Some youth that were being held in juvenile justice facilities have had to stay longer because of the pandemic. Some youth who are waiting on things such as like finalization of adoption or guardianship have had to make stay a temporary ward of the state for the time being because court is behind on those things. We do know that there's been an increase in domestic violence as people are home together more and more. So there's a whole lot of intersectionality between these complex systems. The isolation and the lack of being able to access social supports has led to an increase an emergence of new mental health conditions among some of our youth. And it's been a very challenging time for families, and I think specifically youth this sort of the teenage years. There's a lot of uncertainty, and in a moment I'm going to have and introduce our intern Sarah, who will speak more to that, which is now actually. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and sharing your part of this presentation, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. As Christina said, I'm Sarah Turner. I am a BSW intern with Ask this year, and I was actually offered my internship position during the beginning stages of our state of emergency here in Michigan. So Christina, like she said, asked me to share a little bit about my experience during the pandemic as a student and joining the team, and how that has maybe mirrored some of our youth experiences. There's a lot of relationship building that's going on virtually right now, and again, a lot of academic challenges. So like many students, I was in the middle of a semester in March when Michigan went into a state of emergency for the pandemic. I worked for an organization that provides essential services, so I was fortunate enough to be able to keep my job, but of course that was not the case for everybody. For myself and many others, the abrupt shift was stressful, and my professors in the social work department did a really great job transitioning and supporting students beyond academic needs. But this, unfortunately, was not the case for all departments or school systems. The uncertainty and severity of the pandemic has threatened our fundamental needs, such as safety needs and psychological needs. And we know that when our brains experience this kind of stress, higher functions like our ability to focus are inhibited. So naturally, this type of brain fog that many of us experience makes school functioning difficult for students from kindergarten through college years. And this is often compounded by the fact that most students have never taken online classes, and most teachers have never taught online classes. In addition, for many people, especially students, the pandemic has really impacted future plans. It's also made preparing for transitions more difficult, as focuses have, of course, shifted based on needs and priorities. Many students are navigating transitions like searching and participating in internships, applying for college or graduate school, preparing to take the SAT and placement exams, and finding employment. All of these things are challenging before the pandemic created the additional barriers that Christina mentioned. When schools and most of the businesses shut down, I actually was in the middle of searching for an internship, which is required for me to graduate. As organizations closed or transitioned to remote services, many worked to restructure, and naturally many companies moved accepting an intern lower on their priority list. With that, I really commend the Ask team for accepting an intern, and I'm learning skills nobody anticipated we would need, like providing strictly remote services, working from home, and building relationships virtually. Building relationships virtually has been a big shift. All of my communication, including my interview, was through email and Zoom. And I didn't actually meet Christina in person for over a month. I met our Calling All Youth members during orientation over Zoom, and the first Calling All Youth meeting I attended was also virtual. Some things that have been helpful for me in building relationships virtually have been being intentional about allowing time for personal conversations to get to know youth and my coworkers, sharing things about yourself that you're comfortable with, and asking youth and peers about themselves is a great place to start. Having these conversations allows us to build connections and better understanding of the experiences, passions, and strengths of our youth and coworkers. It doesn't always have to be an in-depth conversation either. For example, the CAY youth like to share memes and pictures of their animals. So I mentioned that I recently adopted a cat in my mini bio for our Calling All Youth newsletter. In addition to personal conversations, it's extra important right now to validate and acknowledge when individuals do or say something well. For example, Ask Family Services has a bulletin board where staff members can pin acknowledgement notes to appreciate their coworkers. There's less face-to-face time now, so that leaves less opportunity to validate and appreciate and uplift clients and each other. And sending emails, leaving notes, or being intentional about acknowledging these things in Zoom meetings are a great way to make others feel seen, even though we might not be physically seeing each other right now. In addition, follow-ups or check-ins and supervision are also a great way to build relationships through COVID. This type of communication is often open-ended and make virtual relationships feel more personal. And it's a great opportunity to share feedback and discuss challenges. And finally, it's important to remember to use gender-neutral language. Oftentimes, individuals will add their preferred pronouns to their email signatures or other online name tags, which is great. But if that's not the case, using gender-neutral pronouns as opposed to assuming gender identity helps create a safe space for our LGBTQ clients and peers. Thank you for listening to my experience, and I hope that was helpful insight.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been a really interesting experience kind of getting to know you and bringing you on board during this time. Your insight is really valuable, and there are a lot of parallels that you drew very, very articulately through, youth in high school and young adults in college. I think that the parallels are are there and real. So thank you so much. I'm really happy you're part of our team. Oh, was this yours too, Sarah? Oh, that was just, okay, that's an extra slide. Whoops, we already went through that. Okay. Not bad. Oh, what's happening? Okay, maybe I went back one. Increased support. So while Calling All Youth has had to move to a fully virtual model between March and September, efforts have been made to increase support and advocacy during this time. We have really kind of like fallen back into a more relaxed structure than we normally would have during our meeting times, which has allowed space for youth to connect and relate to one another, share their emotions, their concerns, their frustrations, and their anxieties about the state of the world. I have increased availability and the flexibility of meetings. So normally we would have our meetings at the same time, the same place, the same like rotating schedule. And now with virtual programming, we kind of go on a case, week to week, case by case. So whenever they're available, and whenever they are flexible in order to come to the meetings, we want to be able to meet that need for them. I've increased my availability for one-on-one virtual meetings and phone calls for their needs for additional support and connection to me. We also have weekly opportunities for youth to submit their writing and poetry for our blog. We have some incredible poets in Calling All Youth, and they love sharing their poetry with us. So it's been really fun way to sort of see their creative side as we move through this time. We've added some virtual just for fun activities in order to give youth an opportunity to socialize. So we've done some trivia nights, we've done some like games online, and those are always like really fun and laid back. And then we stay connected via social media and other online messaging platforms. Like Sarah said, we love to share like little funny memes or pictures of our animals, and that kind of just keeps us grounded with one another and able to stay in contact in a fun way. So a few things, and I need to hurry up because our panel is going to take half an hour to go through. But Calling All Youth didn't miss a single meeting due to COVID-19. And in fact, our numbers indicate that there was an increased participation between March and September compared to the months prior to the pandemic. And that to me just says that providing consistent and quality programming to young people is more important now than ever. I'm gonna skip over the hybrid program model because we just this week have gone back to full virtual, but we do have a hybrid model ready to put into place as soon as we feel that it is safe enough to do so again. So the next slide is gonna be our panel, and I can't wait to share this with you. And after this, we will have some time to discuss amongst ourselves what's going on in our lives and to answer any questions you may have. So here's our panel discussion. Hopefully it works. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a panel discussion with some of our Calling All Youth members. My name is Christina Smith, and I am the program coordinator for Calling All Youth, and I have some of our youth here today to talk about some of the issues that are affecting them in this period of time and through our youth programming. Oh no. Hi, everyone.
I'm a junior.
I'm a junior in high
Sorry,
school.
everyone. In this period of time and through our youth programming. So I would like them to introduce themselves. Tessa, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Tessa, and I'm a junior in high school.
Okay, Mickey, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Mickey. I am a youth peer mentor and I am a freshman in college.
Thanks, Mickey. Mary, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Mary, and I am a sophomore in high school.
Thank you. Danny, could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Danielle Weisshaw. I'm a junior.
All right. So we're going to get things started here. We have 7 pages. Oh my gosh. I can't click on anything while this is going. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Mary, and I am a
So we're going to get things started here. We have 7 panel questions that some of the youth are going to answer. Not all of the youth are going to answer all of the questions, but we will touch on all of these questions. And then we'll have a little short discussion, and we always wrap up our meetings with positives and deltas. So we are going to do a positive and a delta to wrap things up. So, question number 1, and this goes to Tessa. How do you think Calling All Youth has helped you learn how to advocate for yourself, your peers, and your community?
I think Calling All Youth has taught me a lot of skills that come with advocacy, learning how to be more confident, learning how to speak for yourself, speak for others. And I guess it goes beyond advocacy. Calling All Youth has helped me learn skills, how to make more friends, how to be more social, skills that we can all use and learn more.
That's awesome. I love that answer, Tessa. Thank you for sharing. Mickey, do you want to answer question number 1 too?
Yeah. So Calling All Youth has really helped me figure out my voice, and if I want to like speak up, sorry. I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. If I want to speak up, like I know what to say and how I'm going to say it. I learned how to do slam poetry from Calling All Youth, which is something that I don't think I'd ever learn how to do in school at all. And it just helped me being more comfortable speaking in front of a crowd of people and presenting, you know, my thoughts on myself and my community.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Mickey. Does anyone else want to answer question number 1 before we move on? Okay. Question number 2, and Mary, you said you would like to answer this question. How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your experience in the system of care? Examples of being in the system of care include therapy, counseling, court, and juvenile justice.
Mine would be is therapy. I've done it off and on since 6th grade, but the place that I go to now, it was harder doing it like through FaceTime because it's like you can't really get as much into your emotion, or it felt like for me that I couldn't. It's a lot easier just being able to talk to them face to face, even if we have to wear masks. It's just like it's easier to describe things and talk to them than over the phone.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we had a discussion about all of these questions at our last Calling All Youth meeting. And one of our members who wasn't able to join us for our panel today brought up something I think is really important to discuss about how they didn't feel as though they had confidentiality because they're taking their therapy in their room and they had like thin walls and maybe shared a room with their sibling and didn't necessarily feel like they could dive as deep into some of their issues because of that lack of privacy.
Yeah, it's hard to find a place in your house at times where you can do it without anyone being close enough they can hear what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And then
Would anyone else like to talk about their experience in therapy or counseling, court, or the juvenile justice system during the pandemic? Okay. Thank you for sharing, Mary. That was really insightful. I appreciate you. So we have question number 3, and Danny said that she would answer this question. So how has Calling All Youth supported you during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Calling All Youth supported me through the pandemic because it helped me not be stressed out and helped me like be on top of my stuff and help me make more money. But that's besides the point. But so it helped me, want me to make me stay home, help me stay home and not get all frustrated.
So even though we weren't able to meet face to face in person, you still felt as though you had a connection to something that was like part of the bigger part of your community. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Dan?
Yes, Christina.
Awesome. Does anyone else want to answer this question? How has Calling All Youth been supportive during the COVID-19 pandemic? I would like to take a second and say just how blown away I am by everyone's resiliency throughout this. How everyone's been able to really jump into some of our projects and get involved virtually, even though it's not ideal. And how we've been able to successfully have our program. And that's, like a lot of the program, the content is driven by you. So if you all members of Calling All Youth hadn't been active during the pandemic, we wouldn't have had our program at all. So I just wanted to take a quick moment and congratulate and thank all of the youth in Calling All Youth, and hopefully in programs across the country too, that showed how resilient and adaptable they are during this time. So thank you, Danny, for answering that question. And we will go to question 4. So, how does Calling All Youth support you in using your voice? And Tessa, you said you would answer this question. Would you please answer it for me?
So Calling All Youth, so it not only like helps me learn skills on how to use my voice advocacy, like earlier question 1, but it supports me in how in like using my voice. There's like a lot of community events that help us be able to use our voice so we can put some input into the community.
Okay, and Danny, you also stated you wanted to answer this question. I see you're taking notes. You're doing above and beyond, as always.
Calling All Youth supporting me by using my voice is to help me advocate for what I need or want, and it helped me to express my feelings.
And to touch on advocacy skills for a moment, I think that it's so important to learn how to advocate for yourself, especially at a young age, because those skills will carry over into not just like you growing and becoming someone who has a job or someone who's got a role in the community, but also like learning to advocate for yourself and your mental health, and like you know you better than anyone else. So like when something's wrong, when something's not working for you. Like same goes for like physical health, like so many people have persistent problems that their doctors don't know how to fix, but like I think like being able to say, I know that this is going on and I want you to help me figure it out is such a powerful skill to have, and so many people don't have it until at all, or like until later in life. So learning how to advocate for yourself as a young person is just really fantastic. And I'm really glad to hear you both say that Calling All Youth has helped you learn how to advocate for yourself. And I'm always grateful for the opportunity to stand there next to you while you advocate for yourself. It always makes me very, very proud. Great. So we are going to move on to question 5, which is, what issues does Calling All Youth address, and what is important to you about these issues? Mary, you said you would answer this question.
Yes. So basically one of the things we've done, and that is isms. And so we take and face things head on. One of the things I really like was when we were doing the election thing, we were talking about how is the youth going to be able to make more decisions, or how we can be involved and not just like all the adults deciding, like, and how it gives us teenagers the voice that we can use that we may not have always known we've had or haven't always been able to use.
Yeah, that is a huge part of Calling All Youth. Actually, like maybe one of the most important parts of it is having you young people tell us adults and people in helping roles like what you need, because it's been a minute since I was a teenager. I'm not going to say how long, but it's been a minute and things have changed. And, kind of, I always like to say, and it's a classic social worky thing to say, people are the experts in their own lived experiences. And I don't think that youth get enough credit for knowing themselves and knowing what they need. I think often youth and their opinions are just kind of like cast aside and like, oh, silly young people. But actually, youth, being in Calling All Youth, have a huge impact on your community. You get to talk about what you would like to see from programs and policies, and those eventually like get written into our like local laws and stuff and policies. So I think, Mary, you hit the nail on the head. The goal of Calling All Youth is to give youth a seat at the table where decisions are being made and where you can actually like talk about important issues with people who make decisions for you. So thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to talk about question number 5?
I'd like to add that what I really like about Calling All Youth is that it taught me a lot about like the difference in healthy mental health and unhealthy mental health. And it taught me a lot about stigma and a lot that can be faced in the community. And I like how it doesn't treat mental health like, you know, it doesn't exist in youth. Like, it treats like we do have mental health issues and we can experience mental health issues from the experiences we face in the community. And I really like that about Calling All Youth. So.
Yeah, that is another huge part of Calling All Youth, is really busting that stigma, recognizing how prolific and widespread having a mental health challenge really is in all communities, and how hard it is to get over the fear of getting help for that mental health challenge because of how people think about mental health in general. And I think like being able to talk about like positive mental health and how positive of a thing it is to seek help with your mental health when you need it, is also a big goal of Calling All Youth. I think being able to recognize that your peers, so many more of your peers are going through some of these things than you even realize, is a pretty big deal. So definitely busting stigma. We are a stigma-free zone. So thanks, Michelle, Mickey, for sharing that with us. And we're going to move to question number 6, which is also Mickey. What have other supportive adults, teachers, counselors, therapists, etc., done during this time that has been helpful, and what do you wish they would do to be more helpful?
So during the pandemic, I haven't really been able to talk to a lot of people other than family, but I had during a midpoint in the pandemic, I had an anxiety attack, and it ruined my whole day. But what I really liked is that I was actually able to talk to my parents about my mental health, and they were actually a lot more supportive than they were when I was in high school. They actually asked me if I would like to go to therapy, which was never an option when I was in high school. So I felt like they were really helping me, especially during, you know, this trying time. And the only other adults that I've practically been talking to during this pandemic is my teachers, and they've also been really helpful when I've been having mental breakdowns in classes. Only little ones though, because college. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Mickey. I have a quick follow-up question for you in regards to that. Do you think that Calling All Youth and your participation in Calling All Youth has affected the way that your parents think about mental health?
I think a little bit, yeah. When, like, before I joined Calling All Youth, they thought that, like, mental health problems were only for, like, bad people, you know? Like, troubled youth are the only ones that have mental health issues, and they thought me as, like, a good child. So I think, you know, being a part of this and having, like, sometimes having discussions with them about, like, the topics that we share during Calling All Youth, I think it's really helped them understand that, you know, mental health is an issue and I have it and other people have it, especially young people. So, yeah.
That's really insightful. And I think also really important, older generations typically stigmatize mental health issues more than younger generations. And I hope that like your experience in Calling All Youth, and like I guess your parents' experience in having you in Calling All Youth, I hope that there are other members who have had better understanding from their parents because of their participation in the program. That is really awesome. Would anyone else like to say anything about that before we move on to our last question? Okay, so this is a popular one. Question number 7 is, what do you like about virtual programming and what do you prefer about in-person? And how about Danny, I start with you and then we'll go to Tessa and then we'll go to Mary.
Well, the thing I like about the virtual programming is because I messed up. I kept on messing up when I went to in-person meetings, and my parents just took that away from me. And being virtual, I could actually come back and see my friends, do my work, and all that. But I prefer to do it in person because it helps me socialize. Because people say when I'm at my mom's, because I stay inside, because the neighborhood, people say I don't socialize. I get that less socialization than I should get.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Tessa, do you want to answer the question?
I do agree that, and with myself, I don't socialize a lot. I struggled with socializing. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you enjoy in-person programming because you get to socialize. Tessa, do you have anything about virtual programming that you feel has been helpful or like easier in some ways than in-person programming?
Yeah, I would say that because my schedules gets pretty busy with school and work and just a lot of stuff going on. Virtual, it really actually fits into my schedule a lot better.
Cool, thank you for sharing. And Mary, we will go to you to answer question 7, please. You are muted, Mary.
I prefer virtual because my anxiety does not get as bad. Where in person, I've faced bullying and everything. And so it's just like my anxiety will raise a lot more just even walking through the hallways because like I never know what if I see this person, what's going to go down. So it's just like virtual's a lot easier where my anxiety doesn't get as bad. You like during lunch break, you can actually sleep and it's not going to be loud. It's just like it's a lot easier for me than it is in school.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, and thank you everyone for sharing. These questions definitely ask for some vulnerability from you, and I really always appreciate how open and how honest you all are in answering these types of questions. It's not always the easiest stuff to talk about. So I just want to affirm you all and thank you so much for being part of our panel discussion today, and also in general for being part of Calling All Youth. You are all very brilliant and special people, and I'm so super happy that my job is to work with you. So we are going to wrap up our panel discussion with something that we do every Calling All Youth meeting, which is our positives and our deltas. So can we go in the same order that we introduced ourselves? So Tessa, Mickey, Danny, Mary, Sarah, and then I'll go last. In general, positive and delta about, it can be about today's meeting or in general about Calling All Youth. Tessa, go ahead.
So you said that it just about like Calling All Youth?
Yeah, if you want to talk about today's panel discussion, or if you want to talk about like Calling All Youth since the COVID-19 pandemic, one positive thing and one delta, which for those in the audience, delta would be like like something that you would like to change, or something that you see as a potential or a challenge. So does that make sense, Tessa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I don't really have any deltas, but the positive, Calling All Youth during the pandemic, I think has really actually changed and improved, I would say. There's also more youth involvement, and I don't know, it's different than it was before the pandemic.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Tessa. Appreciate it. How about you go, Mickey?
So my positive for Calling All Youth during the pandemic is that we were able to persevere, and we were able to get a hold of people and to keep the program going. So I think that is a very big positive. My delta is that I am nervous about this, how do I say it? About like going into the future with events and socializing in person or virtual, that sort of thing, because can get a little complicated sometimes, so that's just, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mickey. Danny, do you want to do a positive and a delta?
My positive is that I'm here today. I'm alive. I'm not dead. That would be creepy. And my delta is nothing really. But delta is that now we're not in person.
Yes, it's been a challenge. And again, it's been really something I'm so proud of you all for being able to be so adaptable. And then Mary, do you want to do a positive and a delta real quick?
Sure. My positive would probably be that I like how everyone is like so friendly and accepting, with it being like I've only gone to I haven't been in it that long, so it's like it was kind of like, yay, they aren't like people that have like their cliques where they know these people so they don't talk to the new ones, where instead they just talk to everyone, and it just like it made me feel accepted. I don't think I have a delta.
Thank you, Mary. And you have jumped right into Calling All Youth in such a wonderful way, and we're really glad you're here. Sarah, do you want to do a quick positive and delta?
Yeah. I have a lot of positives because I'm new to Calling All Youth. I'm really happy that I get this opportunity to intern with Ask and
work with you all. You guys teach me something new every single time I'm with you. And I really appreciate hearing all of your insight and ideas on how we can make change and advocate for each other and make the youth experience better. And you guys have a lot to offer. And my delta is that I wish I had more availability and more time to spend with you guys.
Thank you, Sarah. And I'll do a positive and delta as well. My positive is that I'm really excited to share Calling All Youth with the entire country during the conference that you are all now presenters at. That I think is so cool that you are all able to say that you participated on a panel that is being broadcasted to hundreds and hundreds of people all around the country. So congratulations. That makes me so very proud of you all, and for sharing all of what you shared during our panel discussion today. My delta is that these are trying and challenging times. And I know that we will continue to be creative and adaptable in making Calling All Youth as best as it can be until we can all be together again. And with that, I'm going to end our discussion. Thank you all for participating. All right. Thank you for your grace. While every time I touched my computer, the video restarted. So I don't know what that was all about, but thank you for sticking in with us during this time. I was really hoping to have more time to do this portion of our presentation, but we do have a few minutes if anyone would like to share a success from their programming working with youth. I'd love to open the floor for that for anyone who has anything to say, and if not, I can go ahead and answer any questions that anyone has.
No. Well, there's nothing in the, sorry, Christina, it's Bethany. I don't know if you know my voice by just hearing it, but I don't have any questions in the chat box, but I did just want to point out that a lot of people really, really loved the proclamation. Everyone's saying that you and Sarah did a great job. So just wanted you to know that people were supporting you silently over here. But if anybody has any questions and you want to put it in the chat box, I'll read them for Christina if you guys don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself, or I don't know if we're actually able to unmute ourselves here, but any questions, I'll take them in the chat box. So I'll give you guys a few minutes just in case you have anything.
I am able to unmute people, so if anyone has anything they'd like to say and wants to just drop it in the chat box, and then I can unmute you if you want to talk out loud. If not, oh, we got one. Oh, thank you, Tavo. What a sweet message. I guess I'll just take this last 30 seconds to say that the youth deserve the credit for all of it. I'm a supportive adult, but they are the brilliant architects of their present and our future. So I just can't uplift them enough.
Looks like we do have one question. It says, text-based platforms seem to be more appealing for those who are uncomfortable on Zoom. Have any specific platforms been successful for you?
Oh, okay. Hi, Haley. We are currently mostly using Facebook Messenger. Not all of our youth have phone numbers, but they have a phone with their with data on it, so they can do Facebook Messenger. We are kind of in the midst of revamping our social media connection. There is a lot of interest in WhatsApp right now, which I've never used, but we might be kind of changing towards that platform soon. But I think just to add to that, something that Zoom, I know, like, causes anxiety for some youth. So I like to be really relaxed about our Zoom policies. I don't make them have their camera on. Some of the youth just like will log in and camera off, mic off, like maybe unmute for a minute, and like I just let that happen because Zoom is anxiety inducing to some of our youth, and I just want to let them be able to participate without making them feel unsafe. Okay, I think we are officially out of time. I want to thank you all, and if you are a youth development professional in this that is taking this workshop, I want to take a second and just like thank you for all of your work that you do. I hope that you're taking care of yourselves right now, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. We will also have Tina, I believe, has dropped a survey into the chat box. So if you could let us all know how we did during our presentation, I really super appreciate it. But otherwise, like we're supposed to do, yeah, 2:30, right? Okay. I really appreciate all of you. So thank you so much for joining and for being present with us in this space. Thank you, and take care.